Aloha, good morning, and a happy Lay Day, everyone. It is Friday, May 1st, 2026, and the time is 10:40 a.m. Will the Committee on Budget please come to order? I'd like to welcome to the committee members who are present in the chamber today, Committee Vice Chair Nishimoto, Council Members Cordero, Kia Aina, Talbot, and Council Chair Waters also joining us, and welcome today, Council Members Dos Santos Tam and Tupola. Although remote oral testimony is being permitted, this is a regular in-person meeting and not a remote meeting by interactive conference technology under HRS Section 92-3.7. Therefore, the meeting will continue notwithstanding loss of audiovisual communication with remote testifiers or loss of the public broadcast of the meeting. Members of the public are allowed to provide oral testimony on all items on the agenda in two ways: in person in the council chamber and remotely via video conference or phone. Remote and in-person oral testimony will be allowed when each agenda item is taken up. Before testifying, each person shall state their name. Each speaker may not have anyone else read their statement and is limited to a 1-minute presentation on each item. As both English and Hawaiian are official languages of the state of Hawaii, pursuant to Article 15, Section 4 of the Hawaii State Constitution and Section 1-13 of the Hawaii Revised Statutes, members of the public may testify in either language. For oral testimonies offered in Olelo, Hawaii, additional time as may be necessary will be allowed for the testifier to provide an English translation of their testimony. All persons who have registered to testify in person will be called upon first. When your name is called, please come up to the testifier podium. Persons who have not registered will be given an opportunity to testify following the registered testifiers. After in-person testimony has concluded, I will proceed to remote testimony via video conference or phone. When I call your name, please monitor your screen and follow the prompt to unmute. For those who are joining us by telephone only, please press *9 if you wish to testify, and I will identify you by the last 3 digits of your phone number. When your number is called, please listen for the prompt to unmute and press *9. Some friendly reminders and tips: video conference from a quiet location if possible. If you are also watching the proceedings on Olelo, please mute your television at the time you are called to testify. When the timer on screen reaches 0, please conclude your remarks promptly. Written testimonies, including the testifier's address, email address, and phone number, will be available to the public as described on the posted agenda. As a courtesy, please turn off or silence all cell phones for the duration of this meeting. Members, I planned to break for lunch today. The start time and duration will be dependent on the flow of the meeting. Before we move on to agenda item number 1, I just want to take a brief moment. Oh, sorry, I would like to also welcome to the chamber Councilmember Wire. But I would just like to take a quick moment to thank my staff, my colleagues, all of you sitting here with us today, the Office of Council Services, the City Clerk's Office, and the Council Support Services Office for their hard work preparing for this important hearing. The proposed budget is about delivering services to the people of Oahu in an economic environment where revenues are flat, but costs are expected to grow exponentially. The proposed budget before you is about building a more transparent, accountable, and intentional city government. Mayor Blangi already submitted his proposed budget to the council back in March, and the committee respects the work that went into that proposal. However, this committee and the council has an independent responsibility to review, question, adjust, and make improvements to the budget before it is passed. Council oversight is not an obstruction, it is oversight, and the role Oahu residents expect this council to perform. For years, the city budget has lapsed hundreds of millions of taxpayer dollars, money that was budgeted but not always spent, positions that were funded but not always filled, projects that were listed but not always delivered on time. As the Budget Committee Chair, my team looked for a more direct, disciplined, and accountable path. Our goal is simple: protect services, protect civil service jobs, and protect the public's trust. We are focused on maintaining the core city services while keeping Honolulu financially strong, which includes protecting our high bond rating. The budget amendments that will be discussed today do not weaken city services, but they pose a harder and honest question. Are taxpayer dollars being responsibly used in a way that delivers achievable results? If money is set aside year after year but not spent, taxpayers deserve to know why. If positions are funded year after year but remain vacant, taxpayers deserve to know if those dollars could be better aligned with core city services. If projects are listed but delayed, taxpayers deserve clearer timelines, stronger planning, and better follow-through. Every dollar must have a purpose, and every project must have a plan. Every budget decision should move us closer to a city government that residents can see, understand, and trust. Intentional budgeting means that we do not simply repeat what has been done over past years, but that this council carefully analyzes what is working, what is not, and where resources can be used more effectively. The committee's work has a direct connection to the pressure families are facing every day. When the city budgets more accurately, we can identify resources that are not being used effectively and direct them towards priorities residents actually feel. Housing, transportation, infrastructure, public safety, and the rising cost of living. The council's responsibility is not to rubber stamp a budget, but to make sure the final budget reflects the real needs of residents and what government can deliver, which is transparent, accountable, and intentional. Thank you very much, members. I now call upon Director Andy Kawano from the Department of Budget and Fiscal Services to provide brief opening remarks on behalf of the administration. Oh, actually, we'd like to welcome to the chamber Managing Director Formby.
Thank you, Budget Chair Okimoto, Council Chair Waters, Vice Chair Tapola, and committee members, council members, Mike Formby, Managing Director. First, I do want to thank the council and the staff for all the work on the budget. Today, we're here to talk about the proposed amendments for a CD2. We do have some concerns, and I wanted to basically, at a very high level, discuss some of the concerns that we have with the CD2. More specifically, I'm looking at Section 13, the proposed new subsection C, and the language of that. And that subsection is where the council decided to pull provisional funds and to put them into one large, really an omnibus provisional, I think totaling $41 million. And the language of that, we believe, violates the separation of powers in the charter. So you should look at RCH 9-106.2, subsection A, where it talks about executive agencies are authorized to make expenditures under the Executive Operating Budget Ordinance, may proceed without other authority from the council to incur obligations or make expenditures for proper purposes to the extent the monies are available. In the new subsection C, subsection 1, you say that these provisional funds are for maintaining government operations at existing levels. And those operations at existing level are the authority of the executive branch. And when you take all of these provisional funds, which already were at very small margins due to the revenue stream that was available to the city and county this coming fiscal year, you have put us in a position where we will be coming back to the council for essential existing government operations via resolution process. And that is unacceptable to the administration. It basically interferes. It is less transparent, not more transparent, whereas the provisional accounts used to be organized according to subject matter. For example, the provisional account for salary adjustments, now it's in one omnibus $41 million account with no subcategories. That is less transparent for the public, and we oppose less transparency. So we respectfully ask that the council reconsider this large omnibus 41 million provisional. Judgments and losses do not belong in this account. Disaster, emergency preparedness and recovery do not belong in this account. It will hamper our operations, and it can be easily restructured in a way that preserves transparency and preserves the ability of the administration to operate government as is our authority under charter. So I will allow Andy Kawano as the director of BFS to get more specific about it. And we also have Corporation Counsel here today, and they can advise you in executive session as to the concerns we have with the language that you have proposed and the impact that it will have on the administration. We want to avoid any type of veto. We had that last session. We don't want it this session. It is unproductive. So we're hoping by working closely with council on the CD2 and, if necessary, an FD1, we can get to a place that we can function best. We agree with the premises that you stated in your opening statement, Budget Chair, but I think this is not the way to do it. So with that, I'll defer to Director Andy Kawano.
Thank you, Managing Director Formby. Aloha, good morning, Director Kawano.
Good morning, Budget Chair Okimoto, Council Chair Waters, Honorable Council members, Andy Kawano, Director of Budget and Fiscal Services. You know, when we started this process early in March with the submittal of the mayor's budget, we submitted an already constrained budget. You know, we talked about the fact that we needed to understand the fact that affordability was a big concern. And as I mentioned, as we went through the department briefings, we actually reduced salaries across departments based on what lapses happened in prior years. You know, we looked at the trend. We looked at vacancy trends, you know, in terms of filling positions, as you mentioned, because that's always important to us to be as proactive as possible to fill positions. We looked on a department-by-department basis, retirements and the need for large vacation payouts. Those were all factored in when we determined about $30 million of salaries that were reallocated to help us balance the mayor's budget. With regard to the salaries, we also removed and reallocated fringes tied to the salaries, another $20 million. So we used $50 million of salaries and fringes to help balance the budget. Current expenses were challenged on a department-by-department basis. It started with our budget analysts that are assigned to the various city departments who provide services. The MD reviewed the proposed budget amounts in late November and December, and we went through another cycle of review, filtering, justification to come up with our current expense budget. So we already, and the same thing happened with equipment requested by departments that have to be in the operating budget. So the budgets were already constrained. In addition to what our managing director covered with regard to the provisional, we noticed that in the CD2 worksheet, there were reductions, you know, beyond CD1 to salaries and current expenses and to some extent equipment to fund council ads. You know, that's all fine to shuffle money around, but the council ads, and we respect why ads were put in place, also restricts how the monies can be used. So we can't necessarily transfer monies if something came up. You know, we have another storm, let's say, and we need to cover overtime. What we would have to do, as MD mentioned, is essentially go in front of council, submit a resolution, validate the resolution, you know, and go through at least one reading to get it passed. You know, imagine if a week in advance, which is common, we become aware of a tsunami that's coming, that's going to hit the island. Right now, as Managing Director mentioned, we don't have anything in our provision for disaster preparedness and recovery, so we'd have to go through a resolution process. We're not going to make it. We won't be able to prepare. It's gonna interfere with government operations. So we're very concerned. And I think it's gone a little too far. BFS, myself, and all of the departments feel that this is overreach into operations of the city that will not have a good impact. We're going to create more work, not just for us, for all of you. We're going to have more meetings. There are going to be more resolutions for you to review. We just don't think it's a good thing to do. And as the MD mentioned, and as our department heads will provide to you as you allow them to testify today, there is a very large concern about interfering with our work, getting back to that. As MD mentioned, there is a separation of powers issue. And we have Corporation Counsel here, and if you'd like to talk more about it, so you're well informed as we go through the department sections, please call an executive session so Counsel can share their research with you, because we're very concerned. With that, I'll take questions.
Thank you, Director Kawano. Members, before we continue with the administration, I actually would like to take some testimony, and then we'll return back to the administration, and then we can turn it over to the members for questions. So first, we'll proceed with, I have a remote testifier who's been waiting. I believe we have from the department, our DBET department, Director James Kunane Tokioka, waiting online. I'd like to take him first, and then I'll proceed with additional testifiers. Director Tokioka, are you available?
Chair, he signed off.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you. We will now proceed with in-person oral testimony in the council chamber. Highlighted? Okay. I do have a list of in-person testifiers, starting with the Liza Ryan Gill. Good morning. If you could just state your name for the record, and you can proceed with it. And to be, just so everybody understands, testifiers are allowed 1 minute time for testimony. I'm gonna try and be as generous as I can, but because of the length of the testifiers, I don't want to, I want to respect everyone's time. Yeah. Thank you.
Hello. Okay, Liza Ryan Gill. With the Hawaii Coalition for Immigrant Rights, we represent about 30 immigrant-serving organizations across the Pai'aina, and especially here on Oahu. And we're here to testify in strong support of restoring the budget positions for the Office of Economic Revitalization. OER has been really critical to the work that we've been doing here on Oahu over the last several years, but I just want to focus on something very specific. There are several positions of what are called community equity liaisons within OER that are bilingual, bicultural folks that really make government real for specific communities. And what I say by that is, after the Kona Low happened, April Labrador and several of her other community equity liaisons went right out to the disaster zone and started serving those populations that needed information in the language that they could understand. So whether that was in Ilocano or in Chinese, these are populations that had for several days not come into any disaster recovery center because they didn't know what it was for. Thank you.
Thank you so much, members. If we have any questions for the testifier, Councilmember Wire.
Thank you, Chair. And Ms. Gill, thank you for your testimony. Just wanted to ask, because I know that there are 3 positions in the budget, but based on your interactions with the OER, is it your understanding that this type of support is occurring from more than just 3 community equity liaisons in the office?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, we've had a long-standing relationship with OER, and they have been really helpful in us in just engaging with specific communities. You know, immigrant families tend to create lots of small businesses, and they really need support in helping to navigate the systems, whether that's taxation or other things, to make sure that those businesses thrive. So those are some additional ways that OER has really helped our community achieve the integration that they deserve, and that really benefits our whole economy in Oahu.
Thank you, appreciate that, because I just didn't think everyone necessarily knew that outside of Ilocano, Tagalog, Chuukese, like Mandarin and Cantonese was also being provided by outside staff that are subject to the budget cut. So mahalo, Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember Wire. Any further questions for the testifier? Thank you. We'll now proceed with Holly S. Rader.
Aloha, my name is Holly. I'm here to provide comments on the proposed budget.
Could you state your first and last name?
sorry.
And all testifiers, be sure to state your first and last name, just for the record.
Okay,
Thank you.
Holly Rader. Okay. Coming from a family of farmers and as a descendant of Sakatas who worked the plantations in Hawaii Island, Maui, I strongly support providing financial assistance to farmers impacted by the Honolulu storms. Farmers are essential to not only to our local economy, but to our youth. They sustain our local food systems, provide food to our schools, pass down cultural knowledge, and model resilience, stewardship, and hard work for future generations. However, I am concerned about the substantial reduction to the Office of Economic Revitalization's budget. This office has been a pillar for farmers and small businesses, especially during disaster recovery. Through initiatives like the Community Equity Liaison Program and the Oahu Business Connector, they help remove barriers to accessing resources at the Waialua Courthouse, provide culturally competent outreach at the community assistance centers, and ensure that support reaches those who are often left out. Cutting this funding risks slowly recovery and inviting existing equities. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, any questions for the testifier? Okay. Seeing none, next I have John Wish. And forgive me if I'm pronouncing the names wrong. You can feel free to correct me. Thank you.
No worries at all. Actually, you got the last name right,
Josh.
Wish, but it's
Thank
Josh
you.
Wish.
Thank
no,
you.
No worries. Thanks so much. Josh Wish with Holomua Collaborative. I'm also testifying with a request to put the funds for OER back into the budget. Holomua has been working with OER for a number of years now. Our missions are very much aligned because what we do is try to make sure that local working families can afford to stay in Hawaii and they have the economic opportunity to stay in Hawaii. One thing I did want to note, just also from a philosophical level, is one of the things that I think is so important about keeping OER in the budget, and you have this in my testimony, is that budgets are, of course, statements of priorities. And since OER is really the only agency whose the core mission is to build a strong economy, in a time like now when economic conditions are so tough, I think it sends very much the wrong message if you're saying we're going to go ahead and eliminate the one agency that's focused on economic revitalization. And we're working with them right now at the state legislature on trying to make things easier for local businesses. And we're working with them recently in Waialua to help the people who were hurt by the Honolulu flooding. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Mr. Wish. Members, if we have any questions for the testifier? Okay. Seeing none, next we have Sherry Minor from the Chamber of Commerce. Aloha, good morning.
Aloha and good morning. Sherry Minor with the Chamber of Commerce, Hawaii. We are here to state our support for OER. We'll stand on our written testimony, but we just want to emphasize that OER has been a critical partner for the Chamber in terms of advocating and supporting our small business. In a time like this, we believe that collaboration and partnerships with government is critical and very effective in ensuring that our small business community is supported. And we also support for the same reasons that the previous testifiers testified on. So, mahalo.
Thank you, Ms. Minor. Members, if we have any questions for the testifier? Seeing none, thank you. Next, I have Hunter Heivilen.
Thank you. Chair, Vice Chair, committee members, Hunter Heivilen here on behalf of the Hawaii Farmers Union. We are in strong support of some of the amendments that were put forward. We've collected damage assessments from statewide, but including 250 farmers here on Oahu. Within that finding, we've identified 20 million in losses. One farm had federal crop insurance last year on the island of Oahu, and only 60 have benefited from federal non-insured crop assistance after disasters in the 30-year history of that program. These are significant losses that ripple out to the restaurants, farmers markets, and school cafeterias, and will continue to do so for some time. This grant program, as proposed, would provide critical relief and as I believe as written, would be routed through the Office of Economic Revitalization. The city was late to the game in having dedicated agricultural staff, only creating the Ag Liaison position in OED in 2011. Many other counties have had positions such as that since the 1980s. If we are now proposing to remove that at a critical juncture where farmers are facing unprecedented losses and do not have federal backstops, it is critical for the county to step in and provide that support. We're happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, do we have any questions for the testifier? Councilmember Wire.
Thank you, Chair. I know one of the proposals specifically on the grant support for farmers was for a $5 million program. I'm just curious if you could expand a little bit more, because I know we're dealing with a lot of tough decisions given how tight the budget is. But what, if any, amount would be appropriate, and just how that would support both farmers and then the broader economy?
I think any support is welcomed. The Farmers Union Foundation has raised, I think, around $700,000, which will be distributed to producers statewide. There is a program at the state level, but it's offering $1,500 in support, and the median losses for farmers here on Oahu are around $30,000 per farm. So any volume is welcome. There is a reso I think I've shared with your office as well about the potential for property tax relief for impacted farm operations. Many of those already have an agricultural dedication, so that is another mechanism, but that is for those who are owning their property and directly paying property tax. And many of the producers around the island and islands are on licenses, leases, and have rent that is due that would not necessarily receive that benefit. So we think a grant program is a critical mechanism. Whatever funding you can provide would be welcome.
Thank you. Any further questions for the testifier? Okay. Seeing none. Is there anyone else here in person who would like to testify? Thank you. Welcome to the podium. Please, or the mic is on. Please state your name for the record.
Good morning, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. My name is Karen Polk, and I'm the Executive Director and CEO of the Kapolei Chamber of Commerce. And as many of you know, my area is not just Kapolei. Our region expands from Waipahu to Makaha, encompassing, represent approximately 400 businesses, and in 2020, we had 200,000 residents. I'm also here in strong support, urging the council to fund OER, and many of my colleagues have stated some of the reasons why. I like to highlight one in particular that impacted our small businesses on the Waianae Coast. Last year, we were fortunate to have the inaugural cohort of a group of small businesses, 15 of them. Many of them are my members now and have strong businesses moving forward. But these were startups. And while there are other programs in our state that support small businesses, there are very few that help a business start from ground up. Not only that, this was in the Waianae Coast, in their region. And as many of you know, we have traffic, we have all these other challenges, but to have that support right on the Waianae Coast for our small businesses is immeasurable. So I urge you to support this funding. Mahalo.
Thank you. Members, any questions for the testifier? Okay. None. Madam Clerk, do we have any other testifiers here in person? Oh, okay. This is for Bill 22.
Oh,
The budget bill, yes.
Bill. Okay, yeah.
Please state your name for the record. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dottie Kelly Paddock with Hui o Ha'ula. I'm the Executive Director and CEO for this nonprofit and the community of Ha'ula on the North Shore. I strongly support and trust the administration's budget. This budget supports DEM to increase their capacity and capability, adding important staff and services to work with communities. This funding is needed and necessary. All communities on Oahu are crying out for this involvement and support from DEM. We also support DEM's disaster provisional funds to allow DEM to fund emergency needs actions immediately. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Members, any questions for the testifier? Okay, seeing none, thank you very much. Seeing no other in-person testifiers, are there any further in-person? Please, if you're here to testify on Bill 22, please feel free to maybe line up and come to the podium. Okay, next, okay. Seeing no further in-person testifiers, we will now proceed with remote testimony. Clerks, do we have any remote testifiers for this item?
Chair, yes, we do.
Okay, so I have a list here. I'll go down the list first, and then if anybody else is online that would like to participate, please raise your hand. First, I have Eliza Manchester.
Well, that needs to happen too.
Is the testifier online?
Testifier is not logged on.
Okay, thank you. Then I have Ms. Amy Agbayani.
Aloha. Can you hear me?
Aloha, yes, we can.
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Amy Agbayani, and I strongly support the Office of Economic Revitalization. It does good work. It provides services and resources for county and for the county, and it helps leverage city and federal resources. This is a real asset and an investment. I have personally worked with many individual staff, and I'm impressed with their competence, their skills, and also their effectiveness. So I think OER is a unit that the city and that benefits all of us at the city and county. I support the whole organization, not just the 3 equity liaison positions. So thank you very much, and I urge and respectfully support this budget for OER.
Thank you very much. Members, do we have any questions for the testifier? Okay, seeing none. Next, I have Mr. Boyd Ready or Reedy online. I see your name.
Thank you.
Aloha.
This is for the preservation of the Hongwanji. Is that the right place?
No, this is for Bill 22 operating budget.
Okay.
This is operating budget.
You're on 23, so push me back. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next, I have Denise Antonelli. Antolini. I'm not pronouncing words properly today. Please forgive me. Denise Antolini.
Testifier is not logged on.
Okay. Next, I have Mark Anthony Clemente. Aloha, good morning, Mark.
Hello, Chair. Aloha, happy May Day, Lay Day. Hello, Chair, Vice Chair, members. Mark Anthony Clemente with the Hawaii Regional Council of Carpenters, in strong support of Bill 22 CD1. Specifically, we are in strong support of the provision in this bill that tackles a critical bottleneck, which is permitting. Right now, delays are slowing housing, driving up costs, and holding back jobs. And from our perspective, the loan forgiveness program to recruit and retain engineers is a smart, targeted fix. It strengthens the one place where projects either move or stall. And so this is a workforce investment that unlocks the entire construction pipeline, and we kindly urge your support on this matter. Mahalo.
Thank you, Mr. Clemente. Members, do we have any questions for this testifier? Okay, seeing none. Next, I have Gregory Kim. I see Mr. Kim.
Hey, Mr. Kim. Okay, I'm here. Thank you very much. Good morning, Chair, Vice Chair, and members. My name is Gregory Kim. I'm a commissioner of the Economic Revitalization Commission of the City and County of Honolulu. And I just want to put a strong word in for OER. You know, I've been on OER for several years now. In my mind, you know, I come from the private sector, more entrepreneurship, innovation side. It's a unique resource because you got people in OER who are used to basically getting things done. And we need to invest in the future, especially when things are bad. You know, you think about it, that's the best time to invest because otherwise we're not laying the foundation for future growth. Economic development needs time. And so OER is a work in progress from my standpoint. I think the commission works closely with them. And right now we're kind of re-examining the strategic plan. And I personally plan to really focus their efforts on things that we've learned over the years. And, you know, that's the main thing is can they learn from their experience and get better? The question to me isn't, you know, is there big economic development now? It takes a little more time than a few years. And ultimately, it's going to result in job creation. And otherwise, I send in my written testimony. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Kim. Members, do we have any questions for the testifier? Seeing none. Next, I have Bettina Mock.
Hello, I'm Bettina Mock. I'm the Executive Director of the Legal Clinic. We're a Honolulu-based nonprofit that provides free immigration legal services to our county residents. We are concerned about the budget cut to the Office of Economic Revitalization and ask on behalf of the immigrant residents we represent to restore those funds. The OER plays a really critical role in connecting the government resources to the communities in need. And we've seen that especially during disasters and after disasters, like with the COVID pandemic, when OER was really able to channel some federal funds to the grassroots communities in need. And with so many limited English speakers, 1 in 5 estimated immigrants in Honolulu, this is really, really important because they didn't know what the pandemic meant, or isolation, quarantine, any of that. So currently, OER has been the primary agency we've engaged with on these things, and also when there's changing immigrant federal policies, they are able to help us reach thousands of people multilingually through their live webinars. So we'll stand on our testimony that was submitted in writing, and thank you for considering.
Thank you. Members, do you have any questions for the testifier? Okay, seeing none. Is there anyone else logged on remotely who would like to testify at this time on Bill 22? Okay. Seeing no further testifiers. Is that it? Oh, no. Okay. Okay. Members, we'll now turn. Okay. We'll now begin review of the operating budget on page 1, General Government. Starting with the Managing Director's Office. I'd like to welcome again, I see Deputy Director here with us. Good morning, Krishna.
Good morning, Budget Chair Kimoto. Good morning, Council Chair, Council Vice Chair, and Council members. Krishna Jaram, Deputy Managing Director. Thank you for the opportunity to be here and share our perspective on these changes. Budget Chair, I don't want to belabor the point because there were so many testifiers who already spoke about OER. Managing Director did send you and Council Chair a letter expressing our concerns about the cuts to the funding of OER. The one thing that I would add for perspective, because everyone else has already spoken on the good work that we think that they did, is over the last 3 years working with Council, we have been transitioning OER from being SLFR funded to general funds funded. And so this sudden, what seems to us like a sudden shift to defund OER does catch us a little bit by surprise. Now, we are always of the mind that every department can do better. Certain council members have been very clear about their belief in how OER should course change. Vice Chair, you've been very clear about that. And so we would welcome further discussion on how OER could do better, but we don't believe that defunding it to this extent makes sense. So thank you for this opportunity to share comments. If you have specific questions, the Director and Deputy Director are here.
Thank you very much, Deputy Managing Director. Members, did you have any questions for the Deputy Managing Director? Okay. So the Chair will be accepting the amendments to the MDO listed on page 1.
Chair, at the appropriate time, I have comments in support.
Yes, thank you. So I'll start with Council Vice Chair Tupola.
Yeah, thank you so much for Deputy Managing Director being here. I always appreciate him, his thoroughness, and of course his presence at so many things. I just wanted to read a few paragraphs because there are some people here that may or may not have read this letter that I wrote. So we've had various conversations about OER, and it is my belief that along with other counties, that our county should continue to have this office and continue to stimulate economic growth. So in the letter I wrote, I did outline that the UHERO report and the auditor signified that OER needed to step more into its strategic role of 1, setting economic strategy, county and citywide, align departments, and address systemic barriers to economic growth. Much of its current work focuses on developing and operating programs that in many cases overlap with services provided by partners such as U.S. Small Business Administration, Chamber of Commerce in Hawaii, OER should be the economic policy strategy leader, not an additional program service provider. The concern, therefore, is not whether these programs are beneficial. We know they are, and we are so grateful for the programs. It is whether this is the highest and best use of a city office uniquely positioned to lead economic policy strategy. OER's placement within the mayor's cabinet presents a significant opportunity. The director is in a strategic position to set economic strategy, align departments, and address systemic barriers to growth by proposing policies and working alongside the council to talk about policies that might affect permitting timelines, infrastructure readiness, land use alignment, such as in Bill 10, and the overall cost of doing business. And because this isn't currently happening, that's why we've had this discussion many times. I hope that moving forward that we can pivot and it can become the economic leader we need it to be. Chair Waters mentions it many times. We need revenue stimulation in the city. We want there to be leadership at this level. So with that being said, I do hope that in the future that this policy alignment and the charter designation of what the office should do will find itself, because I think once we start to develop that strategy and we get to see what the strategy is, I think that'll start to justify the positions and the directions that we're going. So thank you, Chair, for the time to speak, and thank you, Managing Deputy Director.
Thank you, Councilmember Tupola. Members, any further discussion on the Managing Director's office? Councilmember Wire.
Thank you, Chair. I'll let the testimony speak for itself on the OER items, those that were presented orally, as well as the dozens that came in written testimony. Just encourage folks to read that, because I know there's different support, comment, opposed in terms of the bill position, but I think the content of the actual testimony is on point. I wanted to ask, since we're on MDO's office, if I could ask Dr. Fox to come up, because I wanted to just at least have her explain to the committee the conversations that were going on regarding one position we had proposed adding to MDO's office. We had been working with them to adjust the language, and that was specifically both outlined initially in our Amendment 082 and then modified this morning to incorporate the administration's language in 099. And just wanted to see if I could get Dr. Fox to provide an overview of what that position could possibly do.
Aloha, Budget Chair.
Aloha, good morning, Director Fox.
Mahalo, Council Member Waters. Yes, so in the latest amendments, there was a provision added for $90,000 out of salaries to have a position that would address certain of the centralized water issues that this city is experiencing. And so being able to take a look at where are we at right now and where are we moving ahead. One of the areas that we feel like is the most strategic is to link the work to One Water, and the One Water panel and leadership group is charged with producing the report and the CIP projects for 30 years ahead on what all of our water systems look like when we come together for both the building side and also the planning side. And so our revisions that are suggested back would make sure that this city position is related to more of our integrated water sources and our strategies for implementation around managing our finite freshwater, wastewater, and stormwater resilience and reliability across all systems. And for those who are less aware, our One Water panel is operationalized within an MOU across 8 of our city agencies to work together through integrated planning.
Appreciate that, Dr. Fox. Just to ask, would that position be fillable, or would you be able to pursue filling it? And then also, would that be an island-wide focus in terms of the work that they do?
Yes, absolutely. So we would prefer that it's an island-wide position that makes sure that it impacts every single district. And again, the freshwater, stormwater, and wastewater integrated planning and implementation across every single one of your districts makes the most sense to us. And that's exactly how the One Water plan and panel is set up now, is to make sure that we're attending to those needs, and then we're planning for 30 years of the CIP projects ahead. I do believe that this position would be fillable, and I think think at the level that you have recommended, we would actually be able to find somebody with a good deal of experience that we could bring into the city to help with that integrated strategic work throughout our departments and make sure that there's stronger intergovernmental and multi-jurisdictional alignment.
And just last question to be mindful of time. So would that work include analysis and review of better practices in terms of watershed management and flood impacts? I know we're seeing a lot of work in our streams right now, and we had really good info briefings, I think, in EM and other committees just discussing how to mitigate future flood impacts. And so I'm just curious if that would be a part of that discussion and work that position could be doing as well.
Yes, as the EES committee had an information briefing with our chief engineer and DFM director this week, he and I definitely see this as being a part of the alignment. And then again, it's related to the One Water Honolulu strategic vision.
Okay, is it fair to say to keep people safe?
Of course, definitely to keep people safe, always.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember Wire. Councilmember Dos Santos Tam.
I don't have a question for Dr. Fox, but I want to go back to Deputy Managing Director, if possible, with regard to OER.
Sure. Deputy Managing Director, yes. Councilmember Dos Santos
Yeah,
Tam.
one of the questions, what's being proposed today is 7 positions. They're listed in the proposed amendments. To what extent does OER have positions that are federally funded?
So thank you, Councilmember. At this point, I don't know that we have any, do we have any federally funded positions at this point in OER? Or have we transitioned everybody? How many? Bear with me, Councilmember.
While we figure this out, I guess my question is, if we only list 7 positions and we were to receive federal funding, to what extent could we create a federally funded position, or would be restricted? And then, yeah, I guess that's where my question's going.
So, Councilmember, let me have the director give you the specifics.
Thank you, Chair and council members, for the opportunity to respond to the question today. OER has a total of 24 positions. Somewhere around 8 of them, we will have to get back to you on the exact number, are still funded by the state and local fiscal recovery funds. There are some additional funds that can be spent through the end of this calendar year that can be used as designated by the city for positions. But I would also like to state we have a position that is privately funded also by Ulupono Initiative. And ultimately, the goal is to transition positions in our office to general funds so we can continue to write for federal grants, private grants, get private funds, be able through that one person to identify the gap, create the program, and all of that money, every single program that OER has ever managed is run by organizations like some of those sitting across the aisle today from us, whether it's Hawaiian Council, Catholic Charities, the Chamber of Commerce, et cetera, et cetera. So I want to be clear, our positions in our office draw down the federal funds, do the procurement, and pass every single dollar that we receive on to community and other organizations. We do not hold that money, and that is the value of having general funded positions in the Office of Economic Revitalization.
So if the number of positions listed in the budget is only 7, would those federally funded as well as that one grant position continue to exist on July 1st of 2026?
There would be a few that we could extend through approximately September, when the city will be drawing down the final amounts of our state and local fiscal recovery funds. After that, those positions would no longer have any funding available to them.
And that's simply because the federal funding expires on September 30th.
The federal funding expires December 30th, but the city will start wrapping up the use of those funds earlier in the quarter.
I see. And over the past several years, OER's received, outside of rental and utility relief funds, 30.5 million or so in federal funding. Are the other departments within the city capable of receiving these types of funds, or because of their programmatic restrictions within DTS Transportation, DFM for Public Works, would they not be able to do the same kind of applications that your office is putting in?
That is correct. Most of these offices have positions that are also partially funded by the federal funds that they receive, so they are restricted to the use of those positions for the operation of those federal funds. OER has the flexibility. That was why we ended up doing the rental and utility relief program, because the Department of Community Services did not have the flexibility with their positions who kind of operate these kind of programs to be able to do that work. So I think I want to emphasize the value of OER in that way. With contract positions, we are flexible. Not only can we spend time, over the last month, 7 days a week out on the North Shore, but during blue skies, we are also working just to make sure the dollars pass through our office with 100% of the dollars going out for economic development.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember DeSantis Tam. Councilmember Talba.
Thank you, Chair. This is for OER. Director, if we move forward with the proposed CD2, what is the impact to the city and communities in regard to your office? And if you can just summarize.
We would have to cut 18 positions that are filled today with, as we call them, live bodies, real humans who are dedicated public servants working for the city.
And the impact to the communities? I know you kind of touched on it with some of them, but you guys are not only helping out our North Shore families, but citywide.
Yes, thank you, Councilmember Tolba. I think a couple of the words from one of the testimonies that was submitted, I would just like to reiterate the International Economic Development Council, and they have funded a fellow in our office because of the belief in our work and the projects that we put forward. OER has taken the work of building economic development infrastructure from the ground up by establishing new programs, building trust with communities, and positioning the city to access and effectively deploy federal, state, philanthropic, and private capital. This includes creating systems and practices that did not previously exist at the municipal level and advancing a more equitable, coordinated, and resilient economic development approach for Oahu. Much of this work is not always immediately visible, getting to your point, but it is foundational. The coordination of agencies, the alignment of funding streams, the development of trust with communities, and the creation of pathways for business and workers to access opportunity represent what can be understood as the invisible infrastructure of economic development. Without this capacity, even well-funded initiatives can remain fragmented, duplicative, or inaccessible. OER ensures that systems function together, making investment more effective, accelerating implementation, and improving outcomes. I hope that responds to your question.
Thank you, and thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember Talba. Councilmember Wire.
Thank you, Chair. I just had a quick comment, and there's honestly so many people to thank because, DPP's been out there, DCS, of course, all the other staff parks, but just wanted to mahalo you specifically for all the work, of course, that the team is doing, but for you on the ground. I think I've been at so many events where I didn't even know you were going to be there. And so like at the Laie Community Assistance Center, we had the system set up by DPP, but they weren't able to make that particular event. So in addition to all the other support, OER and yourself specifically took over helping many residents connect and better understand the match donation website. And then of course, at the Koku Villages Association farmers meeting, 8 o'clock at night, I walk in and didn't expect, you as the director to be there working with staff and working directly with farmers who have gone through such devastating losses and challenges. And so just wanted to really mahalo you for your leadership, because I think it's an example of the type of leadership that we need in government, servant leadership that's also very data-based and policy-based. So mahalo for that. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember Wire.
Thank you,
Councilmember
Councilmember.
Tolba.
Sorry, I was, okay, so it's 18 positions. If you were to have a number, say we had to cut, what would be that minimum number for you to be effective enough?
I think our staff is at a minimum level.
Okay.
If you look at the Office of Economic Revitalization compared to our counterparts on the neighbor islands in their offices of economic development, we're about the size of the Office of Economic Development in Maui County. Maui County has around the same numbers, but they have a budget of $12 million. Hawaii County has about 28 positions. We have 24. They have a budget of $4 million or $5 million, somewhere in that range. I have the exact numbers I can share with you. Same with Kauai County. I think they have 13 to 15 positions, and their funding is about $4 million. So I think you're getting the bang for the buck with our 24 positions and our $2 million budget.
Okay, thank you. And thank you for allowing me to ask another question.
Thank you, Councilmember Tolba. Any further questions for OER? Okay. Okay. The chair will be accepting the amendments to MDO listed on page 1. Saying on page 1 at the top of page 2, we have from the Department of Customer Services Director Kimberly Hashiro. Aloha, good morning, Director Hashiro.
Good morning, Budget Chair Okimoto, Chair Waters, and council members. Kim Hashiro, Director for the Department of Customer Services. So I wanted to express my appreciation regarding the restoration or not considering additional salary cuts for our department. As you know, we provide direct service to the public at so many of our locations, at driver's license offices, satellite city halls, and it's critical that we continue to provide that. Regarding the current expense reductions that are being proposed, I wanted to spend a little bit of time explaining why they're so critical to our operations also. So the Design and Print Center is a large component of our public communications office, and they provide a lot of support to all city departments for printing, mailing, design support, and that current expense funding is necessary to continue to provide that service at those levels. For our satellite city hall, as you know, we have 10 locations across the island. And although the amount is smaller regarding the reduction, it's equally critical for our operations to be able to provide services to the public, provide the supplies, the computers, all the resources to provide that direct service. And the largest amount is for the DMV division. That division has a lot of contracts, and it supports printing and mailing of our driver's license, state ID cards, producing license plates, towing abandoned vehicles, and then also supporting the operations at our 5 driver's license locations across the island. So this amount of money and this funding is necessary to continue that. Just wanted to let you know, I've mentioned this in previous committee meetings, but we are experiencing a spike currently this year in services. Our volume is increasing over 50%. We're doing our best to increase services. We're actually trying to be creative in terms of not only expanding online services that I've also shared with council that we're working on with DIT, but also trying to shift services to open up more renewal appointments so that we can bring down the wait times. We had been at a point where for most of our appointments, up until recently, it only took about a month or a little over a month to get an appointment. That has recently expanded. You know, we are at 2-3 month wait times now. We still accept walk-in service. We're still providing Saturday service. So these are very critical components of our plan to address the needs. This demand in service levels is going to continue through the end of 2027, and it won't be until 2028 where we start to see a decrease and returning to previous levels. This is because of our 8-year renewal cycle. So every 8 years or so, the city is going to experience this. We're working to provide online renewal services so that customers don't have to come into our locations. We've already provided online permit testing and kiosk services also. So we're gonna continue to expand that so that customers don't have to come into our locations. But for now, it's still necessary, and we need the funding to ensure that our backlogs don't grow, that we can provide good service to the community and be responsive.
Thank you, Director Hashiro. Members, do we have any questions or discussion for the director? Thank you, Councilmember Cordero.
Thank you, Budget Chair. Hi, Director Hashiro. I have a question about the contract that you're hopefully getting out for the larger vehicles, possibly even boats or vessels. I know that you're working on it this year, this fiscal year, yeah? But I was wondering which division will it fall under, and if that is in here or if that will be in CIP.
So it is in our operating budget. It's under the Division of Motor Vehicles, or DMV, in our abandoned vehicle section.
Okay, thank you. And do you know how much that contract is slated to be within a whole fiscal year?
It's approximately 1.7 million, and the cost has increased. At one time, that cost could cover both abandoned vehicle and law enforcement towing, but this fiscal year, Council approved funding in HPD's budget for law enforcement towing because we are separating that contract. So the cost has actually almost increased, almost doubled. So with the HPD funding and CSD funding, we will be able to continue that moving forward. With any kind of reduction in our current expense, that is going to be difficult to accomplish.
Okay, I understand. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Cordero. Members, any further questions or discussion for CSD? Okay, seeing no further discussion, the chair will be accepting the amendments to CSD as listed on pages 1 and 2. On pages 2 and 3, the Department of Budget and Fiscal Services, and from the department we have Director Andy Kawano. Aloha and good morning, Director Kawano.
Good morning, Budget Chair, Chair Waters, and Honorable Council Members. Andy Kawano, Director of Budget and Fiscal Services. There were a number of current expense reductions that were removed from BFS divisional teams. So I'm going to go over the larger ones. With respect to administration, there's a $10,534 reduction in current expense budget. With regard to that, we use it to fund expenses for our risk management office. Our risk manager is doing an excellent job in terms of keeping our insurance costs either flat or lower. And he typically goes to Europe to meet with our insurers like Lloyd's of London to educate them on the fact that the state of Hawaii has islands separated by water. From time to time, there's confusion. For instance, in 2023, during the Lahaina fires, our risk manager got calls from the insurers inquiring about damage, fire damage from the fires, and he had to explain to them that we're separated by miles of ocean. So when he goes up there, he essentially takes a map up and explains how each of the counties are essentially separated, and it has helped a lot doing that. being proactive. With regard to accounting and fiscal services, there's a $55,328 reduction to current expenses. We expend monies with regard to operations tied to preparing the annual comprehensive financial report. That includes completing the annual audit. That also includes paying the application fee, any other expenses to get the annual Certificate of Excellence in Financial Reporting from the GFOA, which is a requirement to retain and continue to maintain our credit rating because that certificate is put into the act for every year on a one-year delay basis. So that's a continuation that we count on. With regard to Treasury, there's a reduction of $194,635. That cost is going to be tied to system upgrades and outside augmentation of our staff to ensure that we get the downtown BID, Business Improvement District, up and running on time. And we bill and collect fees with regard to the bid as required in the ordinance that was passed last year. With regard to real property, there's a reduction in salaries of $60,991. We have vacancies in real property, but they're making tremendous strides in hiring. And of the 16 vacant positions that we previously reported, we've already filled 7 this year. We have great progress, and we don't want to slow down the progress that we're making currently as we go into the next fiscal year. Also, under real property, the Real Property Assessment Division, under current expenses, there's a $97,908 reduction to current expenses. We need that budget because our current expense budget funds our system maintenance costs, our license costs for Tyler Technologies. It also funds all of our mail-outs that we have to do during the year with regard to assessments and other types of notices that have to go out from time to time. This one's kind of small, but I want to mention it. Budget administration, there's a reduction of $4,697. The importance for that one is, we have implemented a new executive program and budget book process and system. We need every dollar that we have with regard to, our remaining current expense. After we have that spend covered, we have essentially $30,000 to cover costs related to day-to-day expenses, making copies, for instance, having analysts go out to different city operations to talk to staff as a part of their budget analysis process. That has costs as well. We have to cover their travel costs. So we don't want to cut our current expenses anymore for that division. We need every dollar of it. It's a very small division. And then lastly, with regard to fiscal CIP, so those are the folks that work with the different agencies to help to implement and support budget with operations. There's a $5,291 cut to current expenses. It's important we have that because that department's budget is very small. Division's budget is very small. We need those monies to support basic operational needs, including essential supplies needed for the staff to perform their core operations. So with that, those are the larger ones. We're going to send out BFS's response to the CD2 as approved today in writing in a few days, and I'll take any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Director Kawano. Members, is there any discussion or questions for BFS? Director Kawano. Okay, thank you. Seeing no further discussion on BFS, the chair will be accepting the amendments to BFS as listed on pages 2 and 3. On pages 3 and 4 from the Department of Information Technology, we have with us, I believe, what's Deputy Director? I don't see Director Brian McKee. We have Deputy Director with us.
Good morning, Budget Chair Okamoto, Chair Waters, and fellow council members. My name is Stephen Courtney, Deputy Director for the Department of Information Technology. Thank you for the opportunity to present the Department of Information Technology's funding restoration request for fiscal year FY27. Today, I'll walk you through why each line item is essential to Honolulu's safety, reliability, and future-ready service delivery, and I will conclude with a clear ask. The full restoration of $730,997 across 6 critical areas. Number 1, restoration of current expenses. Our first priority is the citywide Microsoft 365 migration and the P25 emergency radio console. Microsoft 365 is a $5.3 million modernization effort that standardizes email, collaboration, and security policies across every city office. By securing the email platform, we dramatically reduce the risk of ransomware and phishing attacks that could cripple municipal operations. The P25 radio console will ensure that our emergency communication system remains supported, reliable, and compliant with federal standards. Without these upgrades, we risk loss of critical voice communications for police, fire, ocean safety, and health agencies. The $257,396 we're requesting funds for the preparatory work, including licensing and migration services required to keep these projects on schedule and protect the city from cyber threats. Number 2, our applications division, salary restoration of $61,344. The applications team is driven by the ADA Title II Digital Accessibility Compliance Program, a federally mandated that guarantees all city digital services are accessible to people with disabilities. A vacancy in this division would stall the work, exposing the city to compliance penalties and legal risk. Restoring the $61,344 ensures we keep the dedicated staff needed to meet our accessibility obligations on time. Number 3, operations division, salary restoration of $56,530. Our operations division runs the data center 24/7. The computer operator 2 position is the linchpin that monitors servers, applies patches, and restores services instantly when issues arise. Without this role, we risk unplanned downtime that would affect everything from online permits to the city's financial systems. The $56,530 restores this essential staffing. Number 4, technical services division, salary restoration of $71,747. Cybersecurity is the foundation of every digital service we provide. This division includes 2 critical areas: the Chief Information Security Officer, the strategic leader who defines security policy, oversees incident response, and protects the city's data assets. The Cloud Analyst 1 position, responsible for securing our cloud environments, monitoring for threats, and ensure compliance with evolving regulations. Both positions are indispensable. The $71,747 restoration funds their salaries and guarantees the city maintains robust defenses against ransomware, data breaches, and other cyber attacks. Number 5, our ERP/CSR division, that's Enterprise Resource Planning, Computer Service Representative Division, salary restoration of $209,907. The ERP and CSR platforms are the operational heart of the city, linking every agency to shared financial, procurement, and service request systems. To keep these platforms stable, we need 2 IT specialists, 2, 1 professional trainee, 2 contract computer programmer, 2. These roles develop, maintain, and enhance the ERP/CSR applications, ensuring the city employees can process permits, payroll, and citizen requests without interruption. For the ERP branch, the IT Specialist 2 position will be developing Power BI dashboards and reports, and will be developing robotic process automation processes to help make the city more efficient and productive. For the CSR branch, we are understaffed in support of some 29 agencies, as noted in a previous audit. Restoring $209,907 secures these critical staff members. And 6, our Communications and Network Division, salary restoration of $74,073. The Communications Network team builds and operates the fiber optic rings, microwave towers, antenna sites, and citywide surveillance camera network. The invisible digital backbone that enables real-time public safety alerts for police and fire, traffic management data for smooth road flow, the interagency data exchange for public works, planning, and health. With the division currently at only 80% staffing, the $74,073 restoration will allow us to fill 4 vacant positions, preserving the integrity and reliability of the infrastructure that powers every city service. Collectively, these 6 restorations total $730,997, less than 1% of the department's overall budget. Yet each dollar directly funds positions or projects that keep Honolulu safe, compliant, and technology resilient. In closing, my final 4 points: cybersecurity. A fully funded CISO and cloud analyst position protect the city's data and public-facing services. Continuity, up-to-date Microsoft 365 and P25 systems safeguard communication channels essential for emergency response. Compliance, staffing the applications team ensures we meet federal ADA Title II requirements. Operational efficiency, the operations ERP/CSR and communications network team keep our digital services running smoothly for every resident and agency. I respectfully ask the City Council to approve the full restoration of the $737,997 so DIT can continue delivering service, secure, reliable, and future-ready technology solutions for the city and county of Honolulu. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Director. Members, do we have any discussion or questions for the Department of Information Technology? Okay. Thank you very much. Members, moving on to page 4, the Department of the Corporation Counsel. And I do see with us Corporation Counsel Dana Viola. Oh, I'm sorry. Before we go on with Corporation Counsel, the Chair will be accepting the amendments to DIT as listed on pages 3 and 4. Now moving on to Corporation Counsel. Aloha and good morning.
Good morning, Chair Kimoto, Chair Waters, and members, honorable members of the council. Dana Viola, Corporation Counsel. I'll be generally brief. We have concerns about the reductions that have been proposed in the CD2, primarily the reduction in current expenses of approximately $1.28 million and the movement of our entire provisional judgment and losses account to a different provisional, which would be essentially subject to all departments' requests pursuant to that amendment. We have concerns because we feel that this would jeopardize our ability to sufficiently or effectively represent all agencies, council, boards and commissions, every employee and officer of the city acting in their official capacity, because we would not be able to ensure that we'd have sufficient funds to provide for representation because of the reduction in our current expenses, and we wouldn't have sufficient funds or be guaranteed sufficient funds to fund our judgments and losses. I also want to point out that I do have, as indicated by the administration, that I do have concerns regarding the legality of the council approval provisions of Section 13 of the CD2, of the proposed CD2, and that if you would like to discuss my legal concerns, that I would recommend that we move into executive session.
Thank you, Corp Counsel Viola. Members, if we have any questions or discussion for Corp Counsel, Councilmember Dos Santos Tam.
Thank you, Chair. What's being proposed here is 30% reduction in Corporation Counsel's current expense line item. As you know, we have a number of pending claims against the city, some of which have merit, some of which may not, but that's up to Corporation Counsel and the legal system to determine. In the instance where Corporation Counsel has a conflict, a city employee making a claim or being accused of something, and we can't adequately represent them, where does the funding for outside counsel come from? Does that come from this line item?
Yes, it does.
And so if we don't have adequate funding to provide for outside legal counsel, what then happens?
We'd have to find a way to fund that. So essentially, when this comes up is when the city is sued and they name not only the city but specific employees. A lot of time this has happened with our police department lawsuits. So if any of the individual employees has essentially a position that would run contrary to some of the other employees that are named in the lawsuit or the city in general, we have an obligation still to represent that individual, but we'd be conflicted from essentially representing all of them as a whole because of these differing positions. So we'd be obligated to find outside counsel for certain essentially certain defendants.
And so if we weren't able to provide this sort of representation, that certainly is a legal risk for the city, and would that potentially turn into an insurance risk for the city?
It could be, because we cannot legally represent parties that have conflicting interests.
Understood. I want to turn to the judgment and losses line item as well. I understand the city pays for insurance against larger judgments and payouts above a certain threshold. I think it's 5 million or 10 million, whatever the case may be. Where does the funding for that insurance come from?
So the funding for that's its. I'm not sure about that. I'm going to ask Andy Kiwana to answer that question.
Councilmember Andy Kawano, Director of Budget and Fiscal Services. The premium for our insurance plans are paid by the provision for risk management. To the extent that we have to self-insure, so we have an amount that is essentially, uncovered, the first $1 million, let's say, round number. The provisions for claims and losses would be used, judgments and losses would be used with regard to what we have to self-insure based on the plan.
Understood. Is there sufficient funding in the provision for risk management to cover additional legal risk or additional risk as the insurers see it if we don't have adequate funding for counsel?
There could be some additional funding, but not in the magnitude needed for some of the larger settlements that we've been looking at, potential settlements that we've been
Understood.
looking at.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Dos Santos Tam. Members, any further questions? Councilmember Tupola.
Aloha Corp Council, thank you for being here. Quick question. So you're mentioning two different things, a provisional account, and then you made mention of the 1.2 million from current expenses.
Correct.
So the current expenses that are being suggested to be taken out here, they are related or will affect what exactly in your department? One more time, please.
So that would essentially affect our consulting services. So we have allotted a certain amount of money essentially to cover outside counsel in particular for cases where the parties conflict.
So consulting services, and then the other amount that you referred to, is it part of this or is it somewhere else in this budget?
It's somewhere else in the budget because that's our provisional account. That's the provisional for JNL.
Okay, so the 1.2 specifically affects consulting services?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember Tupola. Councilmember Kia Aina.
Thank you. Can I ask, with regard to this impact, could the failure to secure the appropriate consultancy services lead to increased liability for the city with regard to financial obligations should we be not represented properly in litigation?
Definitely, yes. And also, if we can't hire outside counsel to represent their interests, they wouldn't be adequately represented under the law. So that would expose, if we continue to provide representation, Corporation Counsel would be in violation of our professional responsibilities, and essentially we could be subjected to additional penal sanctions.
Yes. So in this proposed decrease, it may have the unintended consequences of increasing city obligations, financial obligations in the long run.
Correct.
Okay.
And that stands for the JNL too, because if we can't fund judgments and settlements, then we could potentially enter into settlement or installment agreements, but that would involve more cost to the city.
Okay, thank you so much. And, Chair, as we move forward, I know that with some of the concerns that have been raised on the provisional account, because I believe that you try to balance the budget, looking at areas to cut. So I'm hoping that as we move forward, especially with the FD1, we could hear from everybody and understand the certain areas that could actually hurt us.
No, thank you, Councilmember Kia. I definitely needed to balance it. I wanted to balance it. However, looking at some of your amendment requests, and we had provisions on the account where the funding will go. But I am willing to open. We'll take the discussion and as we go through the process.
Move forward
as
with
we
the
move forward.
FD1. Okay,
Correct.
thank you so much.
Councilmember Santos Tam.
Thank you. I have one additional question, and this is a theoretical question. This does not pertain to anything that's happened in the last 6 weeks.
Okay.
But has it been the case that after disasters, after floods, after other incidents, that the city has had to pay out funds related to those disasters?
Yes. So usually after disasters of the kind that we've just experienced, we receive a number of claims for damages relating to the disaster, and some of them can be resolved through claims. Some of them have to proceed to general litigation, and of course it has resulted in expenditures from the city.
And that kind of litigation often takes years. No, I'm thinking of in East Honolulu where there was flooding in Aina Haina. That took years to resolve, correct?
Yes, correct.
And hundreds of thousands of dollars of legal fees?
No, I don't have
Tens
the
of
exact,
thousands?
at least, well, I can't give you, I don't know, many thousands is probably the best I can say at this point. But I can come back with you with a specific number.
I don't need that. I think the point, I would hope that the point stands that after disasters, the city is often the recipient of claims against us, and we have to vigorously defend those. And if we want to settle, we have to pay those out.
Exactly.
Thank you, Councilmember Dos Santos Tam. Councilmember Cordero.
Thank you, Chair Okimoto. Hi, Corporation Counsel Viola. I do have a question relating to, first off, I do know the answer, but I think I want to just ask it again, relating to certain departments that maybe face more claims than others, and I was wondering how we can get those departments to utilize their budgets to pay for any judgments and losses.
Well, the state has a different model than the city, right? So the state basically makes the departments responsible for the litigation that involves the departments that comes out of their budgets. So that is an alternative treatment, because I think, generally speaking, we're smaller in scale. It has been more efficient for Corporation Counsel to essentially handle the accounts, and so that the process is more streamlined, and I think it handled probably more efficiently because it's in one department.
I understand.
But just to, if I could, what we try to do in response to a number of the settlements, and because we have ongoing responsibility to advise the departments, in relation to the litigation that we most often settle, we try to provide additional advice based on what occurred during these lawsuits to try to avoid future litigation of a similar nature.
Thank you, and I understand. I know that with a lot of the lapses that we have seen throughout the years, and then with HPD in particular, I feel like that we could just ask HPD to dedicate even just 0.05% of their budget to go into to paying some of these. So that's just, I've said this to you before. I've said this even in executive session. I'll say it out loud now, that I do think that with my proposed cuts that I don't think are accepted, but even with a little portion of that, it would help to help pay for some of the judgments and losses. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Cordero. Any further questions? I had a quick question, Ms. Viola. If you mentioned the transfer of funds, is it possible for CORE to submit a resolution to transfer funds from the proposed provisional to a new object code in the current expenses?
Are you asking in the context of the CD2?
Yes, for the settlement funds, yes.
So the CD2 currently requires, because judgment and losses is what our judgment and losses was moved into this new provisional, that we would have to get a resolution or approval via resolution for any expenditure for judgment and losses.
And so that's possible? Is there any concerns or legal issues with that?
I do have legal concerns with the process that was outlined in the CD2, but I would prefer to preserve attorney-client privilege that we would discuss it in exec session.
Okay, thank you. Members, any further questions for Corp Counsel? Okay, seeing no further discussion, the chair will be accepting the amendments to Corporation Counsel listed on page 4. Remaining on page 4 from the Department of the Prosecuting Attorney's Office. I don't think I see Prosecuting Attorney Steve Alm. Anybody here from the Prosecuting Attorney's Office? Aloha and good morning.
Aloha. First, Deputy Prosecuting Attorney Tom Brady. Steve is off island at this time, but we just wanted to thank council for the 10 permanent Deputy Prosecuting Attorney positions, and we will work with your staff to make sure we have any clarifying language corrected. So thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, members. Any discussion or questions for the Department of the Prosecuting Attorney's Office? Councilmember Dos Santos Tam.
Thank you, Chair. Currently, what's in the budget is 245.75 positions. What's being proposed is dedicating 1.158 million for 10 permanent deputy prosecuting attorney positions. Are there 10 vacancies right now, or is this money, if we don't increase the salary count, are you going to be able to utilize this funding?
We would partially be able to do that, sir, but actually we have, as of today, we would have all of 10 of those positions filled.
Okay, so this would not add, the additional, the funding designation would not result in a net new bodies being at the office.
Correct.
Thank you, Councilmember Dos Santos Tam. Any further questions or discussion, members? Okay, seeing no further discussion for the Prosecuting Attorney's Office, the chair will be accepting the amendment to Pat listed on page 4. Thank you very much. On the bottom of page 4 and on page 5 from the Department of Human Resources, I do see with us Director Nola Miyazaki.
Good morning, aloha. Budget Chair Okimoto, Council Chair Waters, members of the Council. Nola Miyazaki, Director of the Department of Human Resources. Thank you for this opportunity to to provide testimony on the CD2 budget for the Department of Human Resources. I think, as you all know, DHR is a very small department relative to the rest of the city departments. We're about 90 people, comprised mostly of salaries, our budget is, but we are the centralized HR function for the city. And therefore, the impact of what we do is citywide and critical to enable all the departments to provide quality services to the public and to our residents. So the current budget reduction of $330,000 represents approximately 3.5% of our total budget, which is, again, 90% or more comprised of salary. So we are requesting Council restore the CD2 reductions in our fiscal year 27 budget for the following reasons, and if I may, I'll try to go quickly. I just want to go through the different line items. So in the administration division, we have a reduction of $1,037 in current expense funding, which will have negative overall operational consequences for the administration. The administration division really in DHR is comprised of the Equal Opportunity Office, the city's HRIS function, the Enterprise Resources and Planning Office. We manage the Advantage system, which is every single employee in the city, the records. And we manage that between DIT and Budget and Finance. We also have the Civil Service Commission. So the current expense funding supports all of those essential operations in addition to the director, deputy, and our administrative services offices. So a reduction of $57,850 in salary funding to our division would have severe operational impacts. We have 16 current authorized positions across those 3 areas plus the civil service support position. So 15 of those are filled. One of them is the assistant director, which is currently filled by contract, so it probably shows vacant, but there is a person in that position. The remaining vacated position was recently vacant, provides administrative support to the Civil Service Commission. So this proposed reduction would prevent us from filling the Civil Service Commission support position and may also require position cuts to be made to at least one warm body position. But we really, given the tight and the small number in the administration, the budget cut in salaries would be detrimental to some of the functions that we provide for the city. In the employment and personnel services, there's a $4,222 reduction in funding for current expenses. This is the division that is our largest division, responsible for recruitment, examinations, employee transactions, employee benefits, including ERS, medical deferred compensation, as well as retention initiatives for the city. So this is one of our main focuses for the current administration in terms of improving hiring and improving retention. And right now, the concern even though $4,222 is not a large amount, for this particular division, it's significant. We are putting on the firefighter recruit exam in 2020, fiscal year 27. And so this is a big expense for us that we normally do not have. In addition, things like the career expos. So for example, for this recent career expo, the operating expenses for this division are so tight that we had to ask another department to advance $7,000 to pay for the Star Advertiser career fair for the city, while the other departments reimburse us for that amount. So just to illustrate the tight expenses that we run on. The reduction of $126,856 in salary funding would also have severe operational impacts, and we request restoration of that amount. What this would do is impact some of our positions, but mainly we would, in order to avoid cutting a position that has a person in it, we would probably have to cut all of our overtime, non-holiday overtime, and all of our contract positions, which are critical to supporting our large-scale exams and also to efficiently hire. So if you recall, a couple of years ago, one of our big pushes was to increase efficiency in this department by reducing the amount of time it takes to hire. our contract hires, which are mostly retirees that we use to expand our capacity in times when we have a lot of volume, that has enabled us to, cut our hiring time by more than 50%. But without that kind of capacity, when we have bottlenecks, we are not going to be able to move quickly. We're not going to be as efficient as we have been. And I guess my main concern is that we have invested a lot with council support to hire more people. We're hiring almost twice as many people as we did a couple of years ago. We're working twice as more efficiently. And I just ask that we stay the course and we keep the budget intact so that we can continue to operate and make more progress in filling vacancies across the city. Also, the funding. When we do the major firefighter recruit exam in August, one of the things we do is it's on a Saturday. We have 2 or 3 runs of 1,000 to 1,500 people for the whole day. They have to get tested. It's a pencil and paper exam again this year. We're trying to move online, but there's a cost to that. So we've decided to continue the pencil and paper exam, but it requires overtime on all of my staff that works on Saturday and contract hires, and that runs $10,000 to $20,000. If we have this cut, we may not be able to run a big firefighter exam in '27.
Thank you, Director Miyazaki. Members, I do want to be, I've always encouraged discussion and I want to have that time, but knowing that we have a lot of departments to get through and we're now 2 hours in, I am going to ask the departments if you can limit your input as much as possible to maybe 3 minutes, try to focus on the things that are the most important. I'm not trying to cut off discussion. I am a big advocate for transparency. However, I just want to be mindful of the time conditions.
I understand.
So I would like to go through each item, but if every department moving forward could pick the main topics and try to minimize it to the 3 minute or
I
so,
understand.
so that I can allow all the departments to have an opportunity to speak.
Okay,
Thank you.
Well, basically, we're requesting restoration of all the budget cuts that are in the CD2 respectfully. And really just all of our divisions, classification and pay, $9,474 to our salary, $40,000, $683 reduction in funding for salaries to our industrial safety and workers' compensation. That division is fully staffed, so that $40,000 cut will definitely result in a cut of at least one position or requiring either furloughs or part-time work from the staff. Finally, labor relations and training, we're requesting restoration of $23,767 in current expenses and $95,000 and $930 in salaries. And basically, the current expenses represents a 5% cut to their budget, which is, as you probably know, represents all the departments and grievances and arbitrations for the city.
Thank you. Members, do we have any discussion for the Department of Human Resources? Councilmember Kia Aina.
Maybe not a discussion for this specific department, but in general, I believe that the BFS director had stated that in a couple of days, he's going to provide responses, and I would take it that those responses would be for all agencies, correct, Director Kawano? Okay. And so I think I hear what you're saying, so what might be helpful is rather than going item by item, perhaps each of the directors, when they come back up, should just talk about generally the impacts as opposed to the specificity. And I see Director Kwano there. Director Kwano, correct? Because, so if any agency is worried that we're not going to know each item, you are going to document it in a letter to all of us so that we could be prepared when we move to the FD1 for full council.
Yes, and I have to correct myself. It will be a memo through the managing director's office, and we're going to get our drafts to him in a few days. The correction is that, so he needs a couple days, so maybe about a week to get you everything.
But I want to make sure that each agency is going to be represented in
Everyone will be represented.
Okay, that's all. I just think that that is going to be helpful.
I agree, and I think that's a more efficient use of the process. Thank you, Councilmember Kiana. Thank you, Director Kono. Thank you, Director Miyazaki. Okay, seeing no further discussion for DHR, the chair will be accepting the amendments to DHR as listed on pages 4 and 5. On the bottom of page 5 and as well as on page 18 for the Honolulu Emergency Services Department. Oh, I see Deputy Director Ian Santee. Thank you so much. And again, Deputy, if you missed it, we're asking each department to kind of give the overall response, and then we will get the details from the Managing Director's office.
Thank you, Budget Chair Kokimoto, Chair Waters, and council members. Again, Ian Santee, Deputy Director, Honolulu Emergency Services Department. As Budget Chair pointed out, here to speak about pages 5 and 18 that affect our department. Pretty much those funding go towards positions that I believe were vacant, and we're in the process of filling them right now. On page 5 is the health services. That's our medical assistant and our office clerk. We're in the process of filling that. And on page 18, that goes towards funding towards to support our contracts for the core program and our administrative staff. Other than that, I'm available for questions.
Thank you. Members, any questions or discussion for Deputy Director Santee? Councilmember Wire.
Thank you, Chair. And I just want to reiterate, I'm super grateful for the amendments that were included, but you know, with sunshine and everything, I know this is really my only opportunity to kind of talk through some of the reasoning and analysis so everybody can consider it. So I know we had put forward staffing funds for an additional ambulance that understandably were evaluated in the entire budget, but I wanted to ask you, Deputy Director, because it's my understanding after conversations with the department that there are additional vehicles that could be deployed, whether it be ambulance or SUVs, if there was funding for the staffing, which is different than some years because sometimes we have to fund both, right? Like the staffing and the ambulance, so that increases. And, you know, I really ask because, you know, we've been trying to increase ambulances over the past few years, but then I think even with the recent storm, I know at one point, like in the heart of Honolulu too, you know, we're trying to find out exactly how many landslides there are. I think it got up to like 10 at one point maybe. And so it just, this isolation that occurs, and of course the benefit to all of us when we have more first responders presence, because say it prevents ambulance being pulled out of Mililani up to North Shore, or from Kailua up to the Kolau Coast. How many vehicles would you be able to put out if staffing funding was provided? And that's not a, oh, you got to fully endorse it, just a factual, logistical question.
No, and thank you for the question. I think, first of all, to make sure everybody understands, currently we have deployed 24 ambulances, 24 ambulances at our peak time of day. On the overnight hours, we have our 21 ambulances. As we passed out to the council through the city clerk's office, we gave our strategic plan by the year 2030. We want to have 30 ambulances throughout to serve the island of Oahu. Everything is a progressive process. It involves hiring, recruitment, hiring, and training. It takes an average of 6 months to train an EMT, so there is a process. We currently have about 18 vacancies in our department for EMS specifically right now. We have a recruit academy going with our Waianae, as we just also hired some contract EMTs out of Kapilani Community College. So those should work towards filling our vacancies, and come July 1st, we should have another recruit class starting of approximately 20 to 24. Our attrition rate, we average losing about 24 people a year. But with that going on in the pace, we're actually at a good pace. During the Honolulu storm, I think the director spoke about briefly, we were able to use our recruits and our other employees to actually staff up about additional 2 to 4 ambulances. So it's not that when opening an additional ambulance, that's dedicating the staff and personnel and the vehicle and the location to it. But when we do have extra personnel that are able to work, and we do have the extra vehicles able to work, we do bring up extra staffing. So we do upstaff, especially knowing that something's happening, but also too, when we have minimized our overtime and we're able to staff, we do staff more. So somewhere between, I would say about 2 ambulances more we could staff when we actually have on the current budget also.
Okay, so you could staff an additional 2 if you had the funding for the staff?
No, if we had the staff.
The staff.
The staff has, there's a lot of things that come into staff factors about the leave, trainings, and so forth. So we were able to upstaff again during the Honolulu storm about 2 to 4. So we were able to within the budget, but again, if we did have the funding, it would potentially help that. But also, again, it has to develop in towards the training. So like even with, I'll give an example, when a council ad is added for an additional ambulance, it takes 11 months before we actually open that additional ambulance. Mm-hmm. Just to put that in perspective.
Yeah, so I guess the question is, because you're talking about scaling up and timeline, and then it would be going into various fiscal years. So I guess in terms of what I'm trying to get at, in terms of expediting. How many would you be able to potentially stand up if you had additional staff funding? Because we were told at least one, possibly two paramedic SUVs instead.
And then that differs, right? So I would tell you one ambulance versus two SUVs. That would be the correct. That would be the more appropriate answer then, if that's what you're asking.
Okay, appreciate that. Could it go higher than that? And I only ask for the council's consideration if they're going to think through this more. Because we only asked for one, but I don't know if other folks want more.
No, of course, everybody wants more, but again, with the challenges that we do have today with staffing and again with leave and all the other programs that we going on to manage, I think that's probably the safest answer.
Okay, so one ambulance, or if that funding was split.
Or two split to two SUVs.
Two SUVs, so you could deploy those, not necessarily even District 2, but could be deployed.
Correct, but again, what we're at right now, and we do have a game plan to try and move forward, so I'll be happy to talk more offline with you folks, anybody, to explain that more.
Okay, mahalo, Chair, thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Wire. Members, any further discussion for HESD? Okay. Thank you, Deputy Director.
Thank you, Chair.
Seeing no further discussion, the Chair will be accepting the amendment to ESD as listed on page 5 and page 18. Moving on to page 6 and the bottom of page 17 from the Department of Planning and Permitting. I did see with us the Director. Good morning, Director. Good afternoon, I'm sorry. Good afternoon, Director Dawn.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Chair, members of the Council. So we definitely appreciate the restoration of funds in the CD2, but we continue to advocate for full restoration. When we came in with our budget, we had already made significant cuts across the board, and so the additional cuts of this sort that are still in the CD2 would be very negatively impactful to our department. And I'll just go through a couple. All are important, but a couple I'd want to highlight. Under administration, there's $4,460,000 that have been cut, and that will directly impact the Bill 7 grants, pre and post construction grants. So that would be that could affect some of the developments, the Bill 7 developments. It would also affect our administration of further implementation and maintenance of our platforms, our technology platforms that have recently been implemented, thereby impacting permitting. So same with site development, planning, and customer services, there continue to be cuts that will affect operations. I would just mention customer services, that's directly related to permitting, and so cuts in salaries would affect permitting. So with that, I'm here for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Apuna. Members, any questions for the Director? I had a quick one, and this is not just for you, but I guess for all the departments. When it comes to the vacancies, which I know has been a topic of interest for much of the council for several years now, because you made cuts, and you said initially all the departments had to make those cuts, and a lot of the numbers that you mentioned right now were for salaries. So how does, I guess I'm wondering how you have, what's the status of your filling of the vacant positions?
So we continue to try to fill those vacancies. I think we're around a 20% vacancy rate around there. But even with, as we continue to hire, we use some of that salary savings in different areas. So I think we're very efficient overall about how we would use the money as we had originally proposed.
So just so I understand, the salary savings is not being used, it's being used in other areas, not necessarily salaries.
That's right. So if we want to have these positions and to fill them, but it's not. It's a challenge. We want to hire and we want to be fully staffed, but as things work out through the fiscal year, we will use the salary savings in other areas as needed.
Okay. Thank you. Councilmember Wire.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to make sure I understood. Can you walk me through how these specific cuts would affect the infill program?
Mm-hmm. Sure. So we had originally asked So in previous years, it was 5 million per year for the pre and post or post-construction grants, and now pre. So 5 million per year. For this budget, we slimmed it down more, understanding that we wanted to do some cuts. So it's 4 million that we had originally requested. And so I believe from this current CD2, it would be an additional about 1 million reduced. So we would be working with $3 million for pre and post construction grants.
Do you have any idea of the unit loss in that reduction? And I know came in proposed with the unit loss already, but then going down again. Do we?
Sorry, I don't have that number, but it would definitely, I mean, the projections, as best as we can make, it was very close just based on the 4 million. So to reduce another 1 million, we could have applications that we might have to turn away.
So housing that would otherwise go up, but wouldn't have funding to proceed with penciling it out with this particular program.
Right, they might not be able to finance.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember Wire. Councilmember DeSantos Tam.
Thank you. Following up on that, do you have a sense of how many pending post or pre-construction grant applications there are out there?
Right now, the application, so we open it up. We're still working through some of the processing. We're going to meet with Title Guarantee very soon. So I believe there's maybe a handful right now of pre-construction, I'd say less than 5 that are looking to apply, maybe 3 or so. And so we have all intention to set that up with Title Guarantee and to start taking those applications and start moving on them.
I think we'll have some more elucidating questions about this because the pre-construction grant program, if you take the per unit cost and the kind of average Bill 7 number of units per project, if there's 5 projects, that's could potentially consume more than what we're proposing to allocate to them this year. I recall that the state wanted to provide matching funds in some way for these grants. Could you give us an update on that?
So yes, previously they did provide a match. So if it was 5 million last year, they would match 5 million. We are still working with the state in order to ensure that, number one, they will match whatever the council decides on, and number two, that it includes pre-construction grants. Right now, it's specific to post-construction.
So a reduction here would impact our ability to access state funds?
Yes, they would only match up to whatever the council and the city decide as a budget.
Okay. And then, you know, I often feel like I'm hard on the department, but in this case, I'm very concerned about these cuts and want to be able to defend you in this. There's a 19% cut proposed for the planning division. And the planning division's already quite burdened. I mean, I've been talking with them about a number of different things. Could you paint a picture of how a 19% cut affects the work that they're doing, say on the North Shore Sustainability Plan that's going right now, or on the TOD plan, which we learned, you know, isn't going to come till 2031 for downtown?
You're exactly right. Those cuts would affect all of that type of work. And, you know, in the last year, we did do a shortage for planners in order to attract more, and we finally are beginning to do that. So cutting at this point would kind of go against everything that we're trying to make progress on as far as planners in that area and all of the planning work that is required.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember DeSantos Tam. Members, any further questions or discussion for DPP?
Chair, I would also like to just add that, you know, our concerns are also on page 17, and we would just address that now, or just let you know. I don't have anything specific to say, but that, you know, our concerns for those cuts are the same as on page 6.
Thank you very much, Director.
Thank you.
I just wanted to, so did you address page 17?
Yes, that would be the same concerns that we have.
Yes, absolutely. And okay, so can I make a comment then now? Are we on this? Okay, so thank you so much. So first off, I just want to say that I am concerned about the cuts. And so as we move forward with the FD1 and see the memo coming from the managing director, we will, you know, I will craft my FD1s accordingly. With regard to this specific position, which has to do with an educational loan forgiveness program. I'm going to fight, of course, for its retention. I do understand the impact, these proposed amendments on all of the departments, but it's clear to me, not because I'm the zoning chair, but because these are not just regular jobs that I'm targeting. We all know that the backlog in a DPP's permitting division, which I know that you and the administration have done your best to improve with regard to its efficiency. But at the same time, I have to say that simply waiting for people to try to come that are qualified, in, specifically engineers, is not enough. And we have to look at innovative ways to get there. It's something that I've already talked to, again, HGA. I talked to the Castle Foundation. They have a $2 million program for loans for engineers. They're working with the University of Hawaii at Manoa engineering program, and they're helping engineers in general. And I asked them for COCOA to pivot a lot of their engineers specifically for yours. I don't believe it's just about DPP. It's about the impact to both homeowners and developers out there who are financially impacted because of the delay. And I feel that it impacts our overall economy. So out of all of the things that I have proposed, which wasn't a lot, this is my highest priority. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Kiaina. Chair Waters.
Thank you so much. Members, I want to turn your attention to Council Communication 33 for 2026, where we basically laid out all the lapsed funding for each department. And just for DPP in FY 2024, they lapsed $11,232,870 in 2024. In 2025, DPP lapsed $9,180,411.53. With regard to the planning, since that came up, the planning division themselves lapsed $1,597,707.71 in FY24. And in FY25, the planning division lapsed $1,100,205.90. So the money that is being put into a provisional account can still be accessed by the administration. It's not gone. So, it's a small percentage of what the department lapses every year. And I'm sorry to use you as an example, but every single department is laid out in Council Communication 33. So just be mindful of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Waters. And just, I wanted to clarify, because I know some numbers were thrown out earlier, that for the planning division, it's actually not 20%, it's a 4.8% cut, just to be clear. Did you have a question, Councilmember Dos Santos?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that clarification, and I was looking the wrong column for that. With regard to moving this money into a provisional account, could it be accessed by the planning division, or does it have to be related to emergency response?
Current operations.
By council resolution thereafter?
Yes.
Okay.
Any further questions for the department or discussion? Council Chair Waters.
Just real quick, it's called a provision for operations and emergency activity. So operations is all encompassing, but thank you.
Thank you, Chair Waters. Any further discussion for the department? Okay. Seeing no further discussion for DPP, the chair will be recommending the amendments to DPP as listed on page 6 and page 17. And just for the members' information, and for those, I think, waiting from the administration as well as testifiers, our next department is DFM. We'll be going through that. We'll be taking a quick break. I know that time is of the essence, so we'll be taking a quick break at that time, and we'll reconvene. And I will state the time after Department of Facilities and Maintenance. is done. But moving on to the top of page 7 and the top of page 8, as well as pages 18 through 20, General Government and Highways and Streets from the Department of Facility Maintenance. We do have with us the Director and Chief Engineer, Gene Albano.
Good afternoon, Budget Chair Okimoto, Chair Waters, council members. First off, I'd like to just simply say during my tenure as director, I'm fairly confident that the department has demonstrated reasonable, effective progress on budget responsibility and stewardship. As such, our fiscal year 27 budget, proposed budget, does account for right-sizing our department's budget that has already accounted for reduction in spite of lapsing funds. And I'm here to testify, seeking council to reconsider full restoration of proposed reductions in current expenses and salary funding. Given the current and global geopolitical state, we anticipate increased costs of materials, supplies, and services that will adversely hamper our ability to provide core services with the reduction in current expenses. Similarly, additional reduction of salaries will dampen our earnest efforts to continue to restore our workforce. As such, I'm open to answer any questions members may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Albano. Members, questions for the Director? Thank you, Councilmember Tupola.
Yeah, I just wanted to make mention, Director, that it was taken out for the cattle gates because you guys are already working on it.
We had taken care of that
thank you very
already.
much.
Yes,
because
you're very
from
welcome, council member.
the first version to this version, you guys are getting it done. Thank you, DFM. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember Tupola. And sorry, members, before I continue on with questions for DFM, I did, forgive me, I'm going to have DDC also come up before we take our break because I missed that they were on the same page. Councilmember Wire, did you have a question for Director Albano?
Thank you, Chair. Just a comment. One, it's mahalo you. I don't know if ENV's here. Oh, I think maybe, but just for the work that's going on, I'm getting texts this morning from Otake Camp, and so they're super grateful for the assistance I know DFM is providing to ENV as well for that debris removal. And then same with the residents on Haona Street. I think we're all extremely grateful that the work is now moved on to that side of the bridge in Kaukonohua Stream. So keep up the good work in partnership with HDOT and mahalo.
Thank you, Councilmember Wire.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember Wire. Members, any further questions for the Director of DFM? Okay, seeing no further discussion or questions, the Chair will be accepting the amendments to DFM as listed on page 7, page 8, and pages 18 through 20. Members, also on page 18, I will be rejecting the first proposed amendment to the road maintenance activity, which adds 20 FTEs and appropriates $1,665,800 out of salaries for street maintenance and inspection, and substituting it with a new amendment that was distributed this morning. The substitution amendment reduces the number of FTEs by 10 and reduces the amount of the appropriation by $435,800. Any questions or discussion? This is for the FTEs on page 18. Just reducing it from 20 to 10 and the amount as well. Any further questions?
Not questions. I just want to make sure just that even if we don't have questions now, that it doesn't mean that we may not have concerns. Okay, thank you.
We have the whole day ahead of us still. Yes, thank you. Okay, seeing no further questions, we have accepted DFMs. Now moving back to page 7, and thank you again, Director Millis, for being here. On the top of page 7, page 7 and the top of page 8, General Government Department of Design and Construction, we have with us Director Haku Millis.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Budget Chair. Haku Millis, Director for Department of Design and Construction. Really grateful for this opportunity, Council, to be here, provide testimony on this. We respectfully request reinstatement of the the reductions to salaries and current expenses. As you know, these kinds of reductions will significantly impact our ability to execute capital improvement projects on behalf of the city. We continue to actively recruit. We have a new employee I just met today, her first day. We've had a number of new employees over the last couple of months. We're making offers to 2 architects the next 2 weeks. We are, I think, over our track record over the last few years has shown how successful we can be. And so would like to request the reinstatement. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Millis. Members, any questions or discussion for our director at this time? Seeing none, the chair will be accepting the amendments to DDC as listed on pages 7 and 8. And members, thank you very much, Director Millis.
Thank you.
At this time, we will be taking a little break. It is now 12:49, 12:50. We will take a break now and reconvene at 1:30, and we will continue on with public safety from our Honolulu Police Department. Seeing no further discussion at this time, recess.